The co-byline piece on ESPN and ESPN.com certainly caught my eye about the University of Michigan and the man who wrote it, along with Pete Thamel, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Dan Murphy, staff writer of ESPN. Good to see you, Dan. How are you?
Good, Rich. How are you?
I am well, sir. So I have lots of questions. I'll give you the floor. What is the document you and Pete Thamel got and wrote about?
So what we got over the weekend here was a draft of the notice of allegations, which, to make the legal analogy, it's kind of like seeing the indictment that they're about to turn over to say what the charges are. So this could change before they actually finalize what they're going to attempt to sanction Michigan with. And they still need to sort of have a bit of probably likely a negotiation to figure out what the punishments are going to be. But we did get several new details about what the NCAA has found and what they're aiming to ding Michigan with here moving forward.
Okay, so what did you glean from this document, Dan?
So a couple things. One is that Connor, they had a lot of details on what Connor Stalions was doing from 2021 to 2023 in order to steal, grab signals of other people's sidelines and what his operation looked like. They did not find any Michigan coaches who knew about this or that they could prove that knew about this. And there were a handful of 7 people total from the 2023 program who are subject to potential violations here. And most of the coaching staff that lands on that list is due to interfering or trying to get in the way of the NCAA's investigation. A failure to cooperate is the main charge. And to me, the one that stands out the most, and I think the only guy that's still left on Michigan staff moving forward, is head coach Sherrone Moore, who could be potentially facing some sanctions for his involvement in deleting some text messages that he got from Connor Stalions on the same day when all this news was first breaking last October.
But those text messages, based on the reporting I saw, were retrieved and eventually handed over by Sherrone Moore?
That's right. Yeah. So the NCAA has seen 50-some text messages after they did some searching of his phone. They were able to get them back. And, you can look into that in a couple of different ways. The fact that the NCAA has seen these text messages and isn't charging him or isn't attempting to accuse him of any violation other than having deleted the text messages might lead you to believe that there probably wasn't anything too spicy or too damning in the actual messages once the NCAA got a chance to look at them.
So, okay, so what is in this document that actually puts out there what Connor Stalions did and how it did get to Michigan's sideline, Dan? Is there any – because that, to be honest with you, I'm trying to find actual concrete videos, emails, an actual through line from what Connor Stalions gleaned, what he got. Is there any information on what he got in this document, Dan?
They do say that they reviewed films, photographs. They had sort of a Google Drive folder full of information that Stallions was gathering that showed sort of how he coordinated with all of these other folks that he was sending out to different stadiums and having them tape another team's sidelines. They found video of that. They found sheets of the signals that he was using. There's some notes in there about having evidence that when this was all kind of hitting the fan last October, that he sent a couple of these sheets to another intern's house to try to get them out of the building, that he took a hard drive that was in Michigan football's offices and removed that from the building and then has not turned that over to the NCAA or Michigan since then. So they were able to figure out, using tracking some of the tickets he purchased through different aliases and some of the stuff he had in that Google Drive, that he had scouted, I think it was 58 different off-campus scouting trips, which are against NCAA rules, over the course of 3 years, and several different teams, dozens of teams or so. Some of them as many as 5, 6, 7 times a year. He would go and send somebody to another team's game, one particular opponent's game, in order to try to crack their signals. That's the meat of what they've found with Stallions. A lot of it was sort of what he's taken away, and they were able to pin it down with ticket purchases and different photos and film.
So where are the photos and the films? Where are those?
Still under NCAA protection. So this is a draft of what would essentially be like a charging document, right? So this was pretty high level in terms of what they found. The actual evidence is not something that anyone has seen, outside of the NCAA investigators themselves at this point.
Dan Murphy here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, let me ask you this, because I'm not trying to out your sources, Dan. I really am not. How's that for walking in the front door here? But in Indianapolis right now in the NCAA? Are people trying to find out how you and Pete got this thing? Do you think?
I'm sure some people are. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. I don't want to get too far into how we source
Of
it, but
course.
yeah, I think they're building their case slowly, and I think we'll have more concrete versions of this notice of allegations that are coming pretty soon. I would imagine before the season gets started.
Do you think there are some people that are using you and Pete to build a case in front of people, who are getting ready for a college football season right now and have potentially turned the page on 2023? Dan?
I don't think so. I don't know that what we're going to publish is going to change what they're doing very much. And I don't really want to get too far into sourcing on that side.
I understand that. And that's why I think you're kind of, maybe picking up my drift here of this conversation is that once this was ripped out root and branch, is there anything in this document about what was going on or anything going on after Connor Stalions left and had everything ripped out root and branch and Harbaugh was serving a suspension? Anything from the point of, the Michigan State destruction on, Dan, from last year?
So the accusations against coaches and everyone other than Stallions in this is mostly about whether or not they cooperated with the NCAA's efforts to learn more about this. So it's not more about whether or not they were taking other signals and stealing them. And yeah, once Stallions left mid-October, there's no accusations that there was any other type of rule violations in terms of sportsmanship violations at that point. There are some other items in there that aren't related to Stallions in terms of some more nitpicky recruiting type of things that some of the coaches got involved in. Buying guys meals, bringing guys on campus for workouts when they shouldn't have, sort of contacting guys when they were too young. I think the most sort of serious allegation was against a coach named Chris Partridge, who's no longer with the program, who was accused of sort of pressuring players to lie to or mislead NCAA investigators about the Stallions case to make sure that they protected the coaching staff.
Interesting. And so in terms of Stallions on the sideline and a getup, like that's also in this document.
Yeah,
Dan?
the NCAA did confirm that they were able to determine that it was Connor Stalions who was on Central Michigan's sideline. Central Michigan played Michigan State in the first weekend of the season last year. Stallions was there wearing Central Michigan gear and had a bench pass from the Central Michigan athletic department. They didn't say how he got that pass or if they know how he got that pass, but they did confirm that it was him on that sideline. He was there along with someone else who was in the stands videotaping Michigan State sideline during that game.
That's just so absurd. Positively absurd. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.